On this trip around the county, we visit one of the creepiest places in Hamilton County. Meet an NHS student who is taking design to new heights. And find out what's happening with the latest fashion trends. All this and more on this trip around the county.
Welcome to Around the County. I'm Molly Freeman.
And I'm John Page.
On Around the County, we take you to places you may have never been before and introduce you to people you might not know.
To start off today, graphic design is one of the professions and hobbies people may not fully understand. Producer Savannah Allen discusses the job with NHS junior Kiva LaForce, a self-taught artist who's using her work to take off in the business world.
I'm Kiva LaForce and I do graphic design.
Graphic design is a class where we produce art that tells a story. It's like posters and books, and so it's art.
I currently, since I am not like a large-scale designer yet, I only design mostly album covers for local musicians, and I'll do posters for around the school. I enjoy the most about graphic design is the fact that I can express myself, and also just kind of, it's an art form, so I mean, I use it as art, and doing like commissions isn't any different. I like to be able to express myself and also what the client wants by like showing my style while also feeding the needs of the client. I've started to accept commissions. I made a website, kiva.ga, that has all my portfolio work, and people can contact me, and they'll usually send me a direct message on social media asking for anything, and I'll charge them usually like $20 for some work.
There's a story behind the art. We do a lot of in-house commissions and out-of-school commission jobs.
I use Photoshop and Illustrator, and then on my phone I use Superimpose and Fonto. I learned how to edit mostly just from trial and error. I self-taught myself how to use all these applications, and if I had like a problem, I would just Google it and find a YouTube video. I would describe my design style to be very like collage-like, but also very type heavy, so like a lot of fonts, a lot of like words on the picture, and very colorful.
Kiva, it's been a couple years since I had her, but she's extremely talented, very bright, has a lot of drive, and is creative, and she'll be very successful should she decide to pursue graphic design.
I plan on attending University of Cincinnati and majoring in graphic design. I hope to have a career in that, wherever life would like to take me.
I'm Kiva LaForce, and not only do I use graphic design as a hobby, but I use my ability to make a business that I enjoy.
And we're back then by Kiva LaForce. Kiva, welcome. How did you
Hi.
get started in design?
I started on my iPod when I was around like 11 or 12.
Do you think you have like a favorite part of designing?
It's just like the outcome, the final product, really.
Okay. And like, do you have any designers you look for inspiration?
Virgil Abloh is one of the big one.
Awesome. What keeps you doing this kind of design work?
Just getting like progress. I keep getting better and better after each single one.
Is there something that you love about it?
Just how like I can do it anywhere, like on my phone, on my iPad, like on my computer.
And what do you think will happen next with your design work?
I hopefully will go to major in graphic design at whatever college I go to, and get a bachelor's degree in it.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks for coming. It's nice to meet you.
When you think of a haunted house, images of dark and creepy homes probably come to mind. Producer John Page not only takes us inside of some of these scary places, but shows us that they're a lot closer than you think.
Many of us have scrolled past the Travel Channel and seen a ghost hunting show before. Many of them seem overdramatic or downright staged, but there are people that believe and look for evidence of ghosts. April Fitzgerald is one of these people. April, along with one of her friends, took me to places in central Indiana that are rumored to be haunted. The first location I visited was Fox Hollow Farm in Carmel. The house and the nearby barn looked normal and like any other home nearby. However, its history isn't normal in the slightest. The property was bought in 1991 by Herb Baumeister. Baumeister seemed like a regular American man. He was married, a father, and owned a successful business. Baumeister had a darker side, however. Baumeister would send his family on vacations, and while he stayed at home, he would go to gay bars in Indianapolis, bring home young men, and murder them in his basement pool. Baumeister did this for several years, burying the bodies of the young men in his backyard. Eventually, the police got on his trail, which caused Baumeister to flee the country. Baumeister eventually killed himself in Canada. After Baumeister killed himself, the property was investigated by the police, and they recovered over 5,000 bone fragments from Fox Hollow Farm. The police have confirmed to have found 11 bodies. However, it's estimated that there could be 20 or more bodies scattered across the back end of the property. Since then, people have investigated the property and have found evidence that points to the home being haunted. The most recent owners of the house, Rob Graves and his family, have some of the most compelling evidence and have lived at Fox Hollow Farm for 10 years.
The most compelling evidence that I would have that anything's going on are two things that my wife told me. The first thing she told me was, I was on the back side of the house painting. We were here after about a year, and she hollered up to me and said, "There's a man in the woods in a red shirt." And I got down off the ladder where I was painting, and I said, "Well, where is he?" And she said, "Well, he's gone." And I said, "Well, where did he go?" And she said, "I didn't tell you, but this is the second time I've seen him." And she described a person, young man, walking away from her, walking toward the woods. He was had what she described as a military-style haircut, and she thought to herself, he's going to hurt himself walking into the tree, but as he walked into the tree, she realized he didn't have any legs. He was see-through from the waist down. Joe, the young man I rented the in-law quarters to, probably got the brunt of the activity. And it was theorized that he was of a similar age to some of the victims. And he did get the brunt of it. His door was knocked on, I think, 35 times in the middle of the night. And his experiences are well documented on Ghost Adventures and Paranormal Witness, but Joe has since moved out. And William, my youngest son now, that's his room. And he still gets the door knocking.
While we didn't get to investigate the house, Rob, the owner, gave us some EVP recorders that were done by a woman who investigated the house previously. One of the recordings is very clear and extremely creepy.
I think you know who I am, and I think you know why I'm here.
The next location we visited was the Ivy House in Fortville. The Ivy House is a nice cozy home with a tree covered in English ivy out in the front yard. Inside, the house is set up as a bed and breakfast with 3 rooms upstairs. The house doesn't seem like the kind of place you would go to investigate the paranormal, but the owners of the house, Jim and Linda, have been living at the Ivy House for 39 years now and have had experiences with the spirits for some time now.
We never had any kind of anything until that piano came here. And ever since that piano came, that's when this stuff started. And then we would hear people going up and down the stairs, and I had one guest that she came downstairs one morning for breakfast, and she was a little bit on the crabby side, and I said, "Well, is something wrong?" And she said, "You know what?" She looked at those other people and she said, "What time did you come in last night?" And they said, "We didn't go out." She said, somebody was running up and down the hall all night long. And she said, I would open the door and look out and there's nothing there. I thought, oh.
The grandmother of the girls that sold us this house, she occupied one of the bedrooms at the top of the steps. And I don't know whether she passed away, maybe not in that house or anything like that, but the ghost hunters that came have literally gone up there and recorded, and seen her sitting in a chair looking out and crying out the one window. Since then,
because that was her home.
There's been homes built in between now. So I don't even know if it's visible now, but we've actually removed that chair from that room to keep our guests comfortable because they all seem to sense she is there.
We had our carpet cleaned in the basement. We didn't have any guests, so we slept in that room because the carpet was wet. He said, I thought you got up in the middle of the night. I thought you were standing at the end of the bed. And I said, no. And he said, no, somebody was standing at the end of the bed. He said, and I looked and you were still in the bed. So it wasn't you.
After we talked with the owners, we did an investigation of the house. The investigation had us going from room to room, asking the spirits questions to see if they would respond to us on an EVP recording device. After our investigation, April would take our recordings from the house and would play the audio back to see if there were any signs of spirits. Many of the recordings brought back some words, however they are extremely hard to hear. Although there was one recording that, while hard to hear, came back very clear. While our group was in the other room, you can hear a voice talking about a timer. Where we go when we pass away is one of the biggest questions out there that will never truly be explained. For now, though, paranormal investigators will have to keep searching haunted houses, looking for their answer of where our soul travels to when we finally cross over. Scrunchies, bell-bottoms, ruffles, and so many more current trends are actually making a comeback from the 1900s. Producer Allison Santa Rita gives us some insight into some of the new trends currently on sale in Hamilton County.
Hi everyone, my name is Ava Walls and I'm here at Francesco's at Hamilton Town Center, and today I'm going to show you a couple of the trends that have made it back from the 1900s that are now in our store. Here we have a white lace jumpsuit, which were popular during the 1970s. Along with it being lace, they're going to be wide leg but not flared. And then also the legs are going to be lace all the way down to add a little more detail into your jumpsuit. So here we have our bell-bottom jeans, which were prevalent in the 1960s. And then you have your top here, which is cropped, and this was prevalent in the 1940s. And then our necklace, which was also prevalent in the 1940s. So what you see here are some ruffles, which were from the 1960s. And then you have your puff sleeve, which was popular during the 1890s, but followed through all through the 1900s. So these are scrunchies, and they were made in 1987. So as you can see, they are just ruffled hair ties, and they add a little classier, more fun look to your everyday wardrobe. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about all the old but new trends coming back into stores.
That's all for this trip around the county. I'm John Page.
And I'm Molly Freeman. Join us back here next time as we travel
Around the county.
county.